Say it with me now. I don't have much else to say about this week's episode, but uh, I say this every single week. I don't really have a whole lot to say about Boruto episodes because most of the time they're just kind of like whatever. Um, I guess this week's episode was a lot more enjoyable than last week's episode, other than like a couple of things that I want to point out that I missed because of my lack of knowledge. Apparently this whole thing with like Naruto having like this illness and Sasuke going to prison and whatever is apparently supposed to be an adaptation of the Kakashi Retsuden, which I think is very strange because Kakashi doesn't actually end up showing up in this week's episode at all, and he barely even showed up in last week's episode as well, which was very strange. If it's supposed to be like centered around Kakashi, you'd think that he would show up a lot more. And maybe like the person that I saw say this confused it with Sasuke and not Kakashi, but Kakashi still plays a role, so I feel like it's still supposed to be revolving around him in some sort of way. Regardless though, a couple other things I want to point out about last week's episode as well is some people really got upset that Sasuke was fighting like a dinosaur in last week was fighting a dinosaur in last week's episode, and I just found it very strange that like that's what people were getting upset about with the Boruto episode last week, because it's like that's not like the strangest thing that's happened in Boruto or even like the entire Naruto franchise and just like the anime alone. That's not the strangest thing that's actually ended up happening revolving around Sasuke and his character or just any of the characters whatsoever. Like there was a running gag for a while, and I think part 1 and even into shippuden where there were certain filler episodes where they would like there was like this freaking ostrich character who would like show up every now and then, and I don't remember if they were like actually fighting it or like it would just like show up, but regardless, it's like they still had like a really weird recurring like character with this ostrich who was like super powerful and stuff like that. I don't really remember because I never really watched any of those episodes because they were filler and they were boring and I didn't have any interest in watching them. But I just found it very interesting and strange, mostly, that people were very upset that Sasuke was fighting like an ancient dinosaur in last week's episode. And I was like, guys, if this is what you're going to be focusing on, and like this is why you're saying that this is bad, I think you're kind of missing out on like the reasons why it could be bad. Which apparently some people were saying because it's supposed to be adapting the Kakashi Retsuden. They actually didn't animate a lot of what happened in the novelization, and they actually skipped a lot of stuff. And then another thing I want to point out, last thing, I think there was an animation error at some point because people were pointing out that at some point during the episode when like Sasuke is like looking out towards like the field or whatever, I think it's when that one guy was trying to escape from the prison and ends up getting mauled by that ancient dinosaur creature. The animators mistakenly animated in Sasuke's missing arm, you know, his left arm, his dominant arm that he lost in the Final Valley fight and Naruto Shippuden. You know, the main thing about his character design now at this point, that he's missing his arm. Apparently the animators mistakenly animated his arm back in. Obviously he doesn't like use the arm, but you can see his hand. The hand that isn't supposed to be there. People were pointing that out on Twitter, and I found that very funny. You know, I guess that just goes to show that it's like, yeah, it's like the main team that animates the Boruto episodes aren't really animating episodes like these. They're probably just getting like some like outsourced animation studios to do these in the meantime when they're working on some other pre-production stuff, and that makes sense. But you know, obviously it's like, how the hell did they miss that? How the hell did they not have someone like look back at this episode before they released it and, you know, do something about it? Regardless though, you know, stop talking about last week's episode. This week's episode was a little bit more enjoyable because Sakura was in it, and I wasn't really sure what Sakura was even going to end up be doing anyways, and ultimately she's just kind of there to hang around with Sasuke and like help out whenever she can, by relaying some information that Kakashi had found, and now they're trying to go and do their own investigation with finding one of the books from the Sage of Six Paths that was supposed to lead into a clue for them to go find these, not even BSing you, ultra particles. They're trying to find ultra particles so that way they can go and heal Naruto's mysterious freaking illness because he has a tailed beast inside of him, like the Sage's Expat did when he was the 10-tailed Shinchuriki. So that makes sense, I guess. Sakura was just really enjoyable in this episode. They kind of like poke fun and tease that Sakura is probably single because she's not wearing a wedding ring, even though at this point Sasuke and Sakura are married. They just don't really like have that engagement ring going on because Sasuke is kind of like a loner type. But they have a little couple of cute moments together that I thought were actually pretty fun, right? They were actually kind of adorable. And then there's one part of the episode that kind of made me laugh, and it's because Sakura was really kind of like building on her, I'm basically the next Tsunade character phase, and it's like she starts gambling for like a key to get to like the basement like area for the library, and I thought it was cute. She kind of like took the lessons that she learned from Tsunade in regards to gambling, but it also showed a lot more of what she's been able to accomplish. The fact that she basically has like a photographic memory now because of her time gambling against Tsunade, which I thought was fun. And then they also have another moment where it's Sasuke and Sakura talking to one another privately, just the two of them, and Sasuke, for once, decides to ask Sakura what her feelings are. Like, does she worry when Sasuke isn't around? Because most of the time he isn't around. He's off doing other things revolving around the Otsutsuki and a whole bunch of other BS and stuff like that. And Sakura reaffirms him that she doesn't worry because she knows that he's formidable and capable and that he'll always be able to come back regardless. And then dude's level of riz is astrofucking-nomical, because he walks up to Sakura, holds her hand, she's like all red in the face and embarrassed. The mood is really setting in for the both of them. And then as he's like holding her hand, he actually slipped a ring onto her finger, right? Because the whole thing about like the land as well as that like rings are supposed to symbolize marriages. I mean, it's the same thing in real life, as well, but it's like they were building up more upon that, like in last week's episode with like couples giving each other rings. Like the point being that they were building upon that and they were executing it here in this week's episode. And he slips on the ring onto her finger, and you notice that it's the jewel that Sasuke was trying to gamble away before, so it brings that back as well. And I don't know, it was just a cute, wholesome moment between the two characters, and I really enjoyed it. They kind of need more moments like these because the Sasuke-Sakura relationship has always been kind of wonky for a lot of people because of the fact that Sasuke has tried to kill Sakura multiple times, and Sakura still like simps for this dude, regardless of the amount of times that he's like tried to actually murder her. Anyways, it was a cute moment. It was fine. They find this book, and they find a book, and they find a whole bunch of paintings, and they figure out that all the paintings that was created by the Sage's Expats, the paintings are basically depicting and describing the 9-tailed beast, and then the astronomer that helped the Sage's Expats find the ultra particles, but they still don't really have all the information that they need, and then the episode ends from there. I liked it a little bit more just because Sakura was actually pretty fun in this episode, and I actually liked her here. Further cementing that adult Sakura is like the best version of Sakura, to be honest. Yeah, that's honestly all I really have to say. I guess I had a little bit more to say than I thought I was going to, but then again, like half of the video was me talking about stuff that happened in the last episode that I missed. So, anyways, that's besides the point. It was fun, there were a couple of moments that I actually thought were pretty fun, just because, like I said, Sakura was actually pretty enjoyable in this episode, but there's not really much else to talk about other than just they're continuing on more with what they were doing in the last week's episode. So, anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more, please be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.